will come in as we go. So, all good. Now, today is I'm gonna have the structure the same as I did yesterday, but I've got some cool things along the way. Now, I was gonna introduce myself again because I know there are a few people. I'm just gonna press record on my phone because I'm all about capturing like content and, making the most of um, everything and repurposing as much as possible, which I'm going to teach you tomorrow. But I think let's get started. I was going to introduce myself, but I'm not. So we'll have more time to chat over questions and things after. But I think today we are going to be aligning your digital health footprint. So when you think about that, because it's just us, what what comes to mind when you think about your digital health footprint? What does that mean to you?
How we're showing up online, and how effective the channels that we're using online are and for us.
Yep, 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 Mina.
Very similar to Tanya. So it's basically whatever we have posted online. It's something that I align with what you asked yesterday when you said it's okay if you give me a personal Instagram. I want to see how you show up versus how does the business show up kind of thing. And so everything that's online and available.
Yeah.
Um,
And on that too, so my business name used to be called Social Soul. That's my company name. You might have seen it on the bottom of some of my marketing materials. But I started off looking after social media 8 years ago, and then but I was always a brand manager. So I've always been in marketing. And it kind of started to put me in a bit of a corner because people weren't saying you should work with Social Soul. They were saying you should work with Haley. And one thing I noticed as I started to grow was why hadn't I changed over to a personal brand sooner? Now, Tanya, this won't work for you because you've got your clinic and everything, but Mina, it may actually work for you. So there's a couple of reasons I changed from Social Soul, and one of them was because I couldn't scale that business because the .com was already taken. And me just wanting to go like a bullet a gate, I didn't think about that when I registered everything and sort of lent in. And then I realized, oh no, I do want to like expand my reach. I need to be .com. And so that was part of it. And then the other part was that social was in the name. And that's not what I'm about. My business is more holistic. And so, Mina, for you, it might mean you stepping out as a personal brand as opposed to a named brand. And it has so less implications because it means that your trademark is already there because it's your name. And yeah, you don't have to worry about getting sued, like you said, or not that you would, but it's just easier. And Tanya, for you, you've got staff and that looks differently. However, like with how you show up on your socials, like I noticed, you're not really there. You kind of are, but you could speak in the first person, and be the expert, even if someone else is doing it. And, even though you've got a bigger team, it can be I think that's really powerful. I have a full-time assistant that works in my business, and I still show up as I have help like in and around the business too, in terms of a bookkeeper, and I have her to help me and all the things, and I still show up as I. So I think there's power in coming from the first person and you become more real. But that's not what we're talking about today. But so, aligning your digital health footprint, you're not wrong in what you said, but I think everyone has different thoughts about that. And so, I think yesterday we built the foundations, like who you are, who you serve, and the that message that makes you magnetic. And today I want to, if you've kind of landed on something, I hope that you have, bring it to life online. I think because the way that you show up digitally, and the health of that. So think about people that work with you, they really have to trust you because they're trusting you with their like physical and mental health. And I think that in this industry, I see that so much is that you know, you are so trusted when you're in the room with someone, but then when you are online and you're showing up in your marketing, it becomes like less. But that's not how you are when you're serving your clients. Does that make sense? So it's the idea is to bridge that gap between how you are when you're in clinic and how you show up when you're online. And the digital health footprint means how you show up across and through the line. And I think that in health, this space, the trust starts before everyone books an appointment with you. So how do we do that? And I think, did anyone have you Googled yourself before or Googled the business like in an incognito window to see what comes up? No, it's okay if you haven't.
I've
It's
Googled
an intro
myself, but not the business incognito. I didn't think about the incognito mode. One
incognito.
second, let me do that.
It's an interesting thing to do. So like Google yourself and see what comes up because then or Google your business name and see what comes up because that's what your audience is seeing. And it's just, yeah, it's an important exercise to do. So I think when you do that, if you are putting your client hat on, they decide then and there whether they're going to trust you in seconds, often before they've read a single word. So every part of your online presence, it sends a really clear message about who you are, what you do, and how professional you are. Um, I think what's one word that people think of when they see your brand online? You can put it in the chat if you want.
Support.
Support. I know. Like I said, it's going to
That's
be
a tough
interesting.
one.
Yeah. Would it be like trustworthy, like knowledgeable, um, or is it a little bit more, not flamboyant, but a little bit more than that? It's interesting. So that one word, like think of that one word that will Google yourself and then put your client hat on and then think of what's that one word that people would think of you as you show up. And I think that it's the power of perception, right? And I think what your clients see is what they believe. I think when someone else's health is on the line, they're not looking for like the cheapest or the flashiest option. I think they're looking for the most trustworthy. And it's your job as the business owner to make that decision really easy. So the first part of I'm going to share my screen now with you, just to, okay. So the first part I want to talk about is aesthetic. So there's going to be a few different parts here. So when we think about our brands, where how have you positioned yourself when it comes to your brand aesthetic? So your logo, now this you can upload all of this in Canva. All right. So there's options. I don't know if you use Canva at all, or you've uploaded parts and pieces of your brand into Canva. That's something that I do teach. This book makes life so much easier. So your logo, when we think about aesthetic, we think about logo, we think about a color palette. Okay, so the consistent colors in and around your business all the time. So if you're posting something and you don't have your face on it, do people recognize that is your business? Fonts. So have you got a hierarchy of fonts that you always use, or are you all over the shop? And then brand voice. So I've done something pretty cool and I'm going to share it with you. So I know we did work on our messaging yesterday, but that all intertwines with your aesthetics. So I like colors, fonts, like photography, style, even the tone of your captions, it all shapes how like you're perceived. So if you haven't done any work on your aesthetic, I would go and look at those things. And if you start to think of your brand like a person, it should look, it should sound, it should feel the same wherever you show up. And I'm gonna like your digital foot. So this is the first part, and then I'm gonna teach you about your digital footprint. So think about a brand that you always follow online and think about how it looks and it feels consistent, and what they do to sort of achieve that. And usually it's like subconscious, right? So you won't see it because it's like done carefully to always trigger you. So, I think a really good example of that is when you're at the cinema and those ads beforehand usually are like you'll see your Corona ad, you'll see like an Apple ad or a McDonald's ad, but they never share the brand at the start. Like you don't know that it's that brand. And then, you're kind of forced to guess. And usually you'll pick like, yeah, I know that that's a commercial for Apple. By the aesthetic, by the tone, by the experience. And so, yes, these are massive brands, but how can we kind of relate that into our own business? And it takes work and work and work, but this is all building on your foundations of showing up, and aligning that digital health footprint so that wherever anyone lands, that think of you because you're showing up, not higgledy-piggledy all over the place. And I'll share with you the assets that I'm thinking of. But first of all, I want to share with you, and I'll pop it in the chat. I've built a GPT and it's called Brand Voice Architect. So the last slide I shared with you was, so we talked about logo, colors, fonts, and then brand voice. So they're the things that the first three are a little bit easy. This one is a little bit harder. So I've built this and I'm going to share it with you. Just so I'll share my AI screen with you now. So this is, like I said, I'm not just going to be talking at slides. I'm going to be sharing like the what, the how, the when, and I'm going to give you this link. I'm actually going to give it to you in the chat now so that you can also have a play around with this. So I built this for my clients, and it is to define and refine your unique brand voice, and it is to position you as the go-to expert in your field. So this was built by me, and I use this inside my course, Magnetic Marketing Formula, and there's a couple of other GPTs that I've also built that are great assistants that help my clients. So what we do is put that into your AI. So I assume that we all have Chat GPT. Yep. And then click on Help me define my brand voice from scratch. Okay. And so I've built into this a series of questions for you to answer to then give you a nice brand voice as a end product. So we're not going to sit on this, but this is my little gift to you that will help you to develop what your brand voice is. And this is my little girl. Little girl. So this is my Haley Kate girl. My husband actually built me a real doll for my birthday. And it's superhero girl. HK stands for Haley Kate. And so now she's become an extension of my brand. But this is all like, again, in theme of how like your brand evolution happens and how you extend your digital health footprint. You're welcome. So have a play around with that brand voice architect, and it's going to help you to be able to do that first piece that we've spoken about today. Now, secondly, and there's lots of things like this that I share that you didn't know that you needed in your business to make your life really easy. So if you didn't know, the reason for this workshop, you probably do because you've been getting all my emails, is to celebrate the doors opening to Magnetic Marketing Formula, which is my signature 8-week course to be able to teach you how to do all of this and more. And we go deeper into everything that I've spoken about yesterday, today, and tomorrow over 6 modules over 8 weeks together. So you have me in your back pocket to really lean in to like accelerate your business. Now, have you got any brands that come to mind, like that you think of that you love? Some other more local brands are like the toilet paper brand. What's it called? I've just forgotten the name. Thank you. No.
Don't
Yes.
give a crap or something.
Yeah, yeah. Who gives a crap?
Who gives a
So
crap?
they are really great at this and they're Australian based. Go To Skincare is another really good one. With what's that? Yes. Okay. So there you go. It's like, and so we are served with, different things in our worlds because we all exist in our own worlds. And, not the algorithm kind of feeds us, but we noticing. So it's like, if you say, I want to buy a Mercedes, then you see Mercedes everywhere. It's just, and so then when you lean into this, you start to see these brands more and more just by, I don't know, like mindset and what you put out into the world, like it comes back at you. Anyway, we digress. But the second part I want to talk about, so take this GPT, Mazda Zoom Zoom. Yep, awesome. Lisa and Jade, thanks for joining me as well. You don't have to have your cameras on, but if you want to write in the chat, like this is a bit of a hybrid. I want you to do the work and get results in this workshop. So I'm here to give you like a solid grounding and foundation of no, that's fine of how to think about your business and brand differently to be able to up level and develop really good strategies and consistency pieces to help you to be able to do that. So the second part of this is owned assets. Okay, so what is an owned asset? I'm actually going to reshare my screen. Now and that's just because of the pretty pictures, so hopefully they work today, not because I'm going to be talking to that, but own assets. So own assets is your website. You own that for life. Okay. No one can ever take that away from you. Your database, it's, bigger isn't necessarily better. But if you've got a highly engaged database, say like long-term strategy when you decide to sell your business, if you want to, if you've been intentionally building that database, it'll add an extra zero onto the end of your sale price. And I say that with so much truth because I've seen it happen, because people buy databases all the time, and then you would know that as the receiver from your spam folder. Bricks and mortar. So own asset is bricks and mortar. It goes up in value. And then on the flip side of that, what is rented space? And this is the part where this is your digital health footprint. Okay. So when people search you, yes, they search for your website. Usually, hopefully that will come up. But the rented space is what you would say your most premium landscape right now at the moment, because number one, it's free. Number two, a lot of this rented space comes up in Google searches now, which is great for you if you play in one or all of these spaces. And so premium landscape number one is your business on Google. So does everyone have a Google profile? Yep. And do we all nurture that Google profile? When I say nurture, do you know what that means? So yes. Um, Nurturing your Google profile. So I hand on my absolute heart of hearts. It was a goal this year of mine to build, because you cannot do all the things. It is physically impossible. However, you can use systems and processes to be able to help you do all the things. So this is important. So do you have an updated description? So this is actually in the management back end of my Google profile, but I've got 11 Google reviews, which is really important. If you can figure out a system to get more Google reviews, that is awesome. And I think, Tanya, for you, that is like easy because you have your front facing and bricks and mortar. You're not digital. So for me, it's physically asking people over email, and that becomes a little bit harder. But for you, it can be as simple as a QR code. Like to be able to help more people and have a deeper impact on, people fueling themselves better to nourish for longevity, scan this QR code and tell us about your experience, because the more people that leave a review helps us to get out more, kind of thing. And it can be done in the most beautiful way. But I have worked with I have a psychotherapist as a client, and she was very, and Mina, this might be good to help you as well. She was very private about getting Google reviews, and we built this little like postcard for her, which was really subtle with a QR code in her clinic. And it was just like, if you like appreciate this help and it's helped change your life, help somebody else change their life by leaving a Google review. And it doesn't have to be, bearing your soul about what you got help with. It's more about, she's helped me and can also help you in ways that you have no idea. So it's about cleverly adding these things into your world. So Google reviews are really important. Updating your description is really important. So when you're in the back end of your Google profile, it is in edit profile, and then you can go and do that. Now, yeah, I'm just showing you the back end of what it looks like. If you're asking for reviews digitally, it's this button here. So it's not the URL link. So ask for a review. If you click this button, it'll give you a proper link, and then all anyone has to do is click the link, and it takes them to the box that pops up where they write the review. It's not about making people go on a wild goose chase to leave you reviews. That when you can get someone to do the least amount of clicks as possible, that's your aim to get to the result that you want. Another really good one is making sure that your photo is updated. So we're going to go through this now. So this photo here, you will see everywhere on wherever you land of me. Because then it's like, there's that same girl, there's that girl, there's that girl, there's that girl in that red suit, there's that girl, right? What's her name? I don't know, but she wears a red suit and she's got curly hair. And she's really good at marketing. And so it's done on purpose. It's subtle, right? But it's that like that reaffirming, that consistent, like keeping top of mind wherever you land. That's me. Now, I don't have a choice what comes up here. Google does that on the pages that are hit the most. So what I do have a choice is in here. So Instagram. And so you can see here the message is the workshop, which we're doing now. And you can see this picture is the same. And this is the premium landscape at the top here. And you can also pin some posts to the top of your feed. And I've got some strategies around that as well. We can talk about that tomorrow. Number 3 is Facebook. So again, there's that girl with the red suit and the curly hair, and the message is the same and the intro is the same. So this is what we're talking about when we talk about your digital health footprint. Is the footprint is always the same everywhere. And if it's not the same for you, like this isn't the easiest thing to remember to do. Now, the only thing that I keep realizing that I haven't changed is my Zoom picture. But I always forget, but that's more private. So you already know that you're jumping on with me anyway. But again, Facebook. The next one is LinkedIn. So here we are, the same girl again, and the same message across the top. And then I've got, our call to action here. I used to have a lot of media in my featured section, but now it is just one thing that I want you to do. Is it better to have a photo or a business logo? Yes, it is better to have a photo of you, because a logo is great. We've all got logos, but I don't think that is trustworthy enough. So a photo is great. And even like Tanya, for you, like just a photo of you, I think is awesome, as the face of the business. And people know, oh, yes, you should work with Tanya or her team, because they're going to help to redefine what nutrition looks like for you. So that business is awesome. I think definitely a photo. Now, you might look at this and think, oh, she loves having photos of herself, or you might look at my website and be like, oh, I absolutely do not. I just strategically do them because I know that I want to show up in a really professional way. Not all the time. I also will share images of me at the gym or sweating or whatever, and just not good at all on purpose because that I like to keep it real. But I have to show up in a professional way, so I do have these photos taken, and it just helps me to be consistent, and we'll talk about that tomorrow as well. But LinkedIn, now if you're thinking I can't possibly get across all these platforms, I guarantee you that you can, and you can, like with scheduling and picking out the right tool to use. Now, I'm not about spending heaps of money. I think that you should learn how to do it well and spend money on a few things. Don't have like crazy subscriptions, because some of these scheduling tools are a lot of money. But if you can do it in a strategic way, then I think, yeah, if you put your face on Facebook posts, it does help for likes and followers. Absolutely agree. And then premium landscape number 5. So this is my YouTube channel. Again, the picture is not updated. So here we are. Now this has grown a lot, so I probably should do that. But YouTube channel is another premium landscape. Number 6. So this is where we go down the line. This is more out of home. And so bus shelters. All right. Has anyone ever done any bus shelter advertising? No, so interesting, but food for thought and like aspirational enough. And then we've got some billboards as well. So this is obviously not true. I just put my face in there just to show you that these are all the landscapes that you should think about, long term. Like, don't forget that, but they're all rented space. Okay, so this is all rented space. So your website and your email list and your bricks and mortar is your owned asset. And then all of these parts and pieces that I've shared with you now are rented space. So, I like dread the thought that Facebook or Instagram, Mark Zuckerberg is going to go, you know what? This is more evil than good now. And I don't know, I made my money. I'm going to go live my life. I'm going to shut it down because it doesn't serve me anymore. See you later. Switch off. But you haven't been growing the other side of your business. It's like my worst nightmare. I know there'll always be some sort of social, but just remember that you're playing with rented space. And if you do the wrong thing on these platforms, your profile could get shut down. So that's a whole nother story, but I'll touch on it tomorrow. But again, yeah, it's a crazy thought. When you start to think about how your digital health footprint is, showing up. And then again, we've got like radio advertising. So that is our rented space options. And then there's another little exercise. So we did an exercise yesterday to rank your what did we do yesterday? Your messaging, and I can't remember what I called it, but it was in and around messaging. So now I've got one to be able to rank your digital health footprint. And it is from 1 to 10, and I'll again share. I should have just kept sharing. 1 to 10, from 1 to 10, rank your logo, your colors, your fonts, your brand voice. So use the AI tool, the GPT custom built tool that I gave you, website, database, bricks, and social media assets. Like, how good are they in terms of footprint aligning with one another, and have a think about whether you could do better, because I think these things tend to get like set and forget, and then we get busy and then we forget about it. But then when we're not busy, we wonder why, or why we can't grow any further, because we need to revisit these things and make sure that they are all singing the same song. So I will put this in the workbook, much like I did yesterday. So did you all have a look at the learning hub that I made? Did anyone listen to the playlist? You got it? You saved it to your Spotify? Yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah, working on Google, I think, is really important. And I think that if one of the things in this like ranking system is if one of these is missing, I think your marketing will feel off balance, that something isn't working. And I think, um, quick show of hands, like which one feels like your biggest gap right now out of those? Google, probably, I'd say, just based on Jade's response. I'd say for me, like I need to work on, yep, Lisa, Google. Yeah, I need to work on my Google profile too. I absolutely nail, yep, Facebook and Google. Lisa, you need a website. Yes, you do need a website. I think that's important. You can't rely on social media. I mean, it's a great starter. So just as a little side piece about me, I used to have a fashion label when I was, I don't even know, too young to know how to run a business. And there was no, like, there was Facebook, but there was no Facebook for brand pages yet and no Instagram. So it would have been 2008, 2009, a long time ago. I was like 21. So that's how old I am. And I'm 42. And so what was I saying? Yes, that's right. I had no website for this business. I sold at markets and scaled very quickly. I was nominated for Emerging Designer of the Year, still with no website. I manufactured in China and I had national distribution, still with no website, but still I was doing my marketing degree and it scaled too fast. And then I don't know if anyone's ever dabbled in the fashion industry. It's a fickle, terrible industry, and I did not fit the personality. And so then I quit the business and didn't do anything with it. But, I think that if I like blended to the industry and my personality fit better, like that would have been the next thing because like I said, that's your own asset. You own that and no one can ever take that away from you unless you don't pay your hosting fee or whatever it is. I should know. So my husband runs a web design company and that's who built my website. So if you're looking at my website and you think, that's pretty awesome, like he was the brains behind that and he's the brains behind that little lady on the little brand voice architect. So he's the clever guy. So if you want help with a website, I trust him and we do a lot of work together. His clients are my clients and vice versa. So anyway, but yes, a website is really important. So Google is, I think, for everyone, one of the things that is a big gap, and Facebook. So, there's ways around that, and you can schedule content to that. You just have to have a strategy to be able to pull that together. And I think it's so easy to put things into Chat GPT, but I'll share tomorrow with you the little bot that I built that will help you with that. And I think with like knowing now what you know with your footprint, I think, every touch point reflects how professional you show up and how much heart you have and how trustworthy you are when you're consulting people and seeing people. It just has to be reflected now when you are in person online. And we'll take this a little bit further tomorrow using AI to optimize content for sales. So now you know what that footprint is. I hope that we will be able to smash it out. So tomorrow, today's gone quick. I just sort of smashed through it. Who's ready to turn their alignment into action tomorrow? Learning about content. I know the thing is though, if you don't do this groundwork and then you need to be able to write captions and you need to, think about colors and fonts and, oh, how do I post this here or how do I my Google this and that, like you kind of then working backwards. But it's about like if you have a house on sand instead of a great concrete slab, the house is eventually going to fall down. It's the same as how you build your business and how you build up your digital assets and know-how so that it's a solid foundation and we're not going to fall down at all. Yeah. So don't forget, I'm going to upload the recording into the hub after this workshop. I will send you an email too. And there is also 50 call to action boosters that I'll upload in the workbook for the workshop. And I think that I just want to say, if you've been like loving what we've covered so far, and I think if you're sitting there sort of thinking, this is exactly what I need, but I want help to actually build it step by step, that's what I designed the magnetic marketing formula to do, specifically for health brands, practitioners, therapists, coaches, like clinic owners, who are pretty much ready to stop guessing with their marketing and finally have a bit of a system that helps to attract and connect clients that you want to reach that you're not currently reaching. And I think like local marketing is great to a point, and then you need more. And inside of that, we go deeper into everything that you've learned yesterday and today and what you'll learn tomorrow to from building out that magnetic message. So I've helped you heaps, but we'll work deeper on that. And I've got a avatar document that I share in there. I also share it with my clients just to think about questions that you may not have. But start with the brand voice stuff. If you can go through that today, that would be really helpful for tomorrow when we start to do the content work. But then, we also look at your website individually and looking at conversion and like, is it flowing well? Like, if it's not, what do you need to change? And honestly, it's not about a redo. There's usually just little simple tweaks and calls to action that make the biggest difference. And then, designing your content plan. And I want you to be able to use the AI tools to make this so simple for you, because it has to be sustainable, because you might come in now and be like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm going to go and do the thing. And then all of a sudden, like, you shut the computer and go and like check your emails and this and that. And that's finished now because the day needs you, and the business then like falls by the wayside. And, if you've always done what you've always done, then you'll always, whatever that is, have what you've always got, blah, blah, blah. But every week we'll catch up and I will guide you and walk you through a complete marketing plan. So you'll finish with a nice, solid framework and strategy for the next 12 months. It's pretty cool. So I think that you can then spend more time doing what you're amazing at, which is helping people to be healthier, mentally and physically, and have healthier lives. So again, today, I will be giving away a one-on-one session with me for 30 minutes to work on 3 things that are key inside your business that you might have questions about. I would love to go a little bit deeper, so you just keep your eye on that. And yeah, I've loved teaching this. This is like I love it. I love it so much. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So tomorrow we content. And I've got some, good tips and tricks and things up my sleeve that I've been working on for lots of years. So cool. All right. That's a wrap, guys. Have a great day. Look out for an email from me. See you tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time. All right. Bye.